Hello, good afternoon. I am Casey Durango of Go Keto with Casey, where I like to talk about how I've lost 97.4 pounds since starting the ketogenic protocol and how you may be able to lose weight, improve your health, and regain control of your life. Thank you for allowing me to be part of your Saturday. Um, Today's topic is keto, keeping true to yourself. I'm not sure that was the best title. It's more like keto, being honest with yourself. That probably, or with ourselves, it probably would have been a better title. First of all, I want to acknowledge the folks that are popping in and saying, hey, thank you very much. Trish Fields Newer, so happy to see you. Greetings from the East. The ketogenic protocol, as I learned it and as I have followed it, is keep your carbs 20 grams or fewer a day, total carbs, not net carbs. Eat fatty sources of protein. Don't eat if you're not hungry. Stop when you're satiated. Now, fatty sources of protein, some people like a list. The go-to list, the certified, copywritten, bona fide list from Dr. Eric Westman. Page 4 there's a link below, but you don't even need a list. Just eat fatty sources of protein. Keep the carbs very low. You can have full fat dairy, not unlimited, and some non-starchy and leafy greens, not unlimited. About a cup a day of non-starchy veg, about 2 cups a day of leafy greens a day. That's it. It's a very simple protocol. I want to share something that was the inspiration for today's snippet. And I didn't tell her I was going to do this, but I have a Patreon group, and one of the features of the Patreon group is patrons have access to be members of the private, hidden, patron-only, Go Keto with Casey, patron-only Facebook group. And it's a great place. It's for patrons only. And people post all sorts of things, ask for help, give suggestions. They just share what's going on with them. Well, today, one of the patrons, I won't call her name because I don't have permission, because I haven't asked, posted this, and I really loved this. May indulge me to read this for you. This person wrote, this might be a little long, but it's for anyone that is struggling to lose or is hovering around Go Keto with Casey. We don't call it a plateau or a stall. We call it hovering because that seems to be a little bit more optimistic. I started my journey on January 1st, 2018 at 160 pounds. I lost 41 pounds over the next year following Dr. Casey and following Casey and Dr. Westman and page 4. That is not the correct order of how people should be following. Follow Dr. Westman and page 4, and then you can listen to me if you like. On January 1st, 2019, I was 119 pounds. So from 160 to 119, I got lax, a little bite here, taste of that. I got back up to 140 pounds March 2020. And there she has the googly eye, emoji. So COVID, lockdown. I recommitted, refocused, started keeping a food journal. I was lying to myself about how many carbs I was actually biting. The old carb creep. No cheating equals losing. I submitted a question to Dr. Westman on the last meetup and asked how to get the scale to move. He suggested, like Casey tells us, eat less fuel. I stopped cheating. I was only cheating myself and got back to only eating if I'm hungry. Some days I hardly eat at all, and that's okay. Since March 6th, beginning of this new normal, I've lost 16 pounds. I'm 5 pounds away from the lowest I got on keto, and that's my goal, again, 119. Pay attention. Don't cheat yourself. I follow page 4. And I also got Amy Berger's Stall Slayer ebook, and it's great. Just help me refocus on my why. Keto on, everyone. This works when you do it correctly. Isn't that great? Isn't that a great testament? Stick with the program. We need to be honest with ourselves. And I applaud this patron for her transparency. In her words, she was lying to herself about how much she was doing. So yeah, a little bite here, a little taste there. Oh, this won't hurt. I'll just go back to full on tomorrow. Can you imagine? Well, maybe you can. Putting back on 40 pounds after you've lost so much. But she didn't throw in the towel. She didn't say, well, that's that. She asked herself some hard questions, and she made herself accountable to herself. We're not accountable to anyone else. We're all adults. We can do whatever we want. We can eat whatever we want. But make no mistake, what we eat is our choice. We are not victims of food. We're in charge of the food. It doesn't feel like that. My best-selling t-shirt ever, food is not the boss of me. Because that's where I got. For those of you who don't know, you can go to my blog. I don't have a way of screen sharing here on YouTube. Go to my blog and see my before photos. I was morbidly obese. I was spherical, totally round for 30 years. From my mid-20s to my mid-50s. Some years higher, some years less high, but still high. I tried the year of the triathlon. I tried what we've all done. I never did join Weight Watchers, I'll say, because I'm frugal and I didn't want to pay someone to tell me to eat better. But not knowing what better meant, actually. This is the thing. When I do on Patreon, I will tell you, I have a Patreon group. It's a support group. It is not a fan club for me. It is a support group. I do about 20 videos a month to patrons. And then there are other patron-only live streams, patron-only video group sessions, and one-on-ones with me if you so desire. I sign many of them off, and be kind to yourself. Be firm with yourself. Be honest with yourself. And just like the protocol, which is keep your carbs 20 grams or fewer a day, total, not net. If it's not on page 4, don't eat it. Don't eat if you're not hungry. That last part is the trickiest. Being honest with ourselves is the trickiest. Because who wants to who wants to own up? I hear from many people, I'm doing everything straight on. I'm doing it. It's pristine. I'm eating clean keto. By the way, I don't know what lazy keto is, or dirty keto is, or dirty lazy keto, or lazy dirty keto. It's just keto. Keep your carbs 20 grams or fewer a day, total not net. Don't eat if it's not on page 4. Don't eat if you're not hungry, and stop when you're satiated. And there's nothing lazy about that. That's just what it is. Anywho, I'm doing it right. And nothing's happening. Well, then we have to ask ourselves, are we really? Nuts are not on page 4. Some people find that their gummy vitamins have 20 grams of carb in them just by themselves. Adults really don't need to be having gummy vitamins, and children don't either. Actually, the food is so nutritious, I don't take vitamins. It's very nutrient dense. But it's challenging to be honest with ourselves, isn't it? About lots of things. It's never been more important than now to do that which keeps us or gets us healthy. Okay, stay keto, stay healthy. It's my t-shirt. There's a link below so you can get one of these. I bought one of these myself. I designed it, had them done, and then I bought one. Oh, by the way, I have a bruise here. This is we were doing some heavy duty work for, if you can hear chickens in the background, and a 4x4. The corner of it hit my arm here, so I have a hematoma, which has left quite the medallion. What was I saying? Being honest with ourselves is very difficult. We don't want to believe that we are fudging a bit. We don't want to believe that. Keep in mind, it's not a sin. People say I cheated. It's not a cheat. It's a choice. You make a choice to eat, and that's it. There's a phrase, and it sounds a little harsh. We might be rolling along just great, and then we decide, I'm going to just have a plate of French fries and hush puppies and batter fried fish. And then we feel terrible, physically terrible. And then we also can feel like, oh, God, I did it again. There's a phrase that I've heard now a lot, play stupid games, win stupid prizes. I don't like the word stupid. Play silly games, win silly prizes. Yeah, that's okay. You're going to play that game. That's what's going to happen. But we have to be honest with ourselves. If we make a decision to eat the food, that was our decision to eat the food. We don't have an incontrollable impulse. Even if we did, it's a physical action. It's not an involuntary action to do this. Fork to mouth, spoon to mouth, hand to mouth. We still can control our behavior, our actions. We can at least control our actions. If we can't control our wants, wanting something, it's good to want things sometimes. Doesn't mean we need to fall into it. I always, people talk about cravings, and I really wanted that, and I apologize about the chickens. But I can't be upset with them because, look, the eggs. We will never starve because we have eggs. So wanting something does not mean you give into it. I like to take things, I like to be hyperbolic. So if your partner says, they went out on a date with someone else or worse, why did you do that? Well, I really wanted that. I wanted to do that. Oh, okay, then if you wanted it, go ahead. But getting back to what this person wrote today. And I if you're hearing me right now, if you might be in the room for all I know, I will turn my attention to attendees in a second. I really appreciate that, because that is the crux of this. The food is easy. I mean, learning what the food is. If it's an animal product, you can eat it. If it's a grain, don't eat it. By the way, corn is not a vegetable. It's a grass. It's a grain, right? If it's a non-starchy vegetable, what does that mean? That general rule of thumb, if a vegetable grows above the ground, it's probably non-starchy. If a vegetable grows below the ground, it's probably starchy. Why would that be? Because the job of anything that's growing below the ground, like onions and carrots and beets and legumes and everything, is to store starch / sugar / energy to feed the greens. Eat the greens. Leave off the stuff below the ground. And those are not unlimited. There's no free food. You just eat to satiety. People ask me, do you count the carbs in the vegetables? Yes, that you count all the carbs. And for me, almost the only carbs I get are from vegetables. And that would be true of anyone who is following the protocol. There are carbs in every food. There's fat and protein in every food, animal or plant. But for the majority, that is Dory. She's very distracting to me. I can only imagine if she's distracting you. Animal products are very low in carbohydrate. For the most part, plant products are high in carbohydrate, relatively speaking. And it goes without saying, lay off the grains. They are, as far as our livers are concerned, whole grain Ezekiel bread and a Snickers bar all comes out as simple sugar. The ketogenic protocol is one whereby you reduce your carbohydrate intake to a level where your liver is no longer pumping out glucose. And when that happens, our body, which might have been burning glucose as its main source of fuel all these many years, happily just switches over to burning ketones or fat for fuel. And our bodies thrive on this, particularly our brains. That's all that is. So something's either a carbohydrate. I mean, we have carbohydrate, protein, and fat. Carbohydrate is not an essential macronutrient, meaning whatever is produced from eating carbohydrate, glucose, our bodies can create without us consuming the carbohydrate. Fat and protein are essential. Our bodies need the amino acids that are produced when, or we get from the fat and protein. We must consume them. Our bodies cannot make them. So there's that. I was having a patron-only live stream before this, and a woman who's had great success. She might be in the room too. She's from Saskatoon, Saskatchewan, which I love saying. It sounds like a Dr. Seuss place. Saskatoon, Saskatchewan. She's had great success. Her son has had great success. Her husband, who could really benefit from this, not so much. He's convinced it's not healthy. We were having a conversation, and it came down to probably he knows that it's not unhealthy. He just really doesn't want to give up bread. Again, let's be honest. If you just don't want to give up the carbs, that's fine. No law against it. And some people are perfectly healthy and happy consuming the standard American diet. That's just, their good fortune. Let's be healthy first. Let's be happy. And, added benefit is if you are a size you're comfortable with. If you feel good about yourself, great. Be healthy, be happy, and feel good about yourself. That's all it takes. Most of us, eventually, if not, early, are like me. I am the prototype of most humans. I consume carbohydrate. Glucose comes out of my liver. My pancreas sends out insulin to deal with the glucose. And this, over time, this chronic situation lays on the pounds because insulin pushes glucose out of the blood and into the cells, storing it for fat for a rainy day. The thing is, there's never a rainy day. I've not been more than a quarter of a mile from many food sources my entire life, ever. And now, of course, we can just have them beckoned to our door. McDonald's now has delivery. I don't know that this is a good thing, but it is a thing. We have to be honest with ourselves. If you're someone who can glide through and do what you like, or you can tolerate more carbs, fantastic. But if you're not getting the results you expected or hoped for, if you're still feeling gross and you're still feeling sluggish, or the weight just doesn't move, or whatever it might be, step back, as this person did very openly when I read it before, the thing I read at the beginning. If you didn't hear it, go back, because I won't take the time to read it again. Be honest. This is too critical to lie to ourselves. It's too critical to lie to ourselves. We must try to maintain our health. If you are obese and healthy, I applaud you. If you're obese and happy in your body, I applaud you. I'm all for body positivity. I was not one of those people, but I wasn't doing this for weight loss. I didn't want to take insulin for type 2 diabetes, and I was on track for that. I was convinced that my next doctor's appointment, that conversation was going to happen. And I didn't want to do it. I'd given up on losing weight. I Googled how to not take insulin for type 2 diabetes. And after a couple of clicks, came to Dr. Eric Westman's white coat video. And it's as simple. I didn't make this stuff up. This is not my diet. Dr. Westman would be honest to say it's not his diet. Dr. Atkins is the one that started all of this. And even he got it from some place. He didn't invent it. I mean, this has been around a long time. It's been around at least since William Banting, an undertaker in England, in 1863, wrote a treatise on corpulence, which means fat. And I'm sure he got it from somewhere. This is the way we're designed to eat. Most of us. But we have to be honest. And that's the hardest part. I've said this before. This might be apocryphal, but I seem to remember reading the beautiful, wondrous Elizabeth Taylor had alcohol abuse issues. So she went to Betty Ford, I believe, or the Hazelton Clinic one. And there were group sessions. You go around and you explain, try to get to the core of what's going on. And people would share their stories of abuse or broken heart or things that people said about them that was all the explanations that gets around to Elizabeth Taylor. Elizabeth, it must have been hard to you. You're a child actor. You were the support of your family from the time you're 11 years old. Your first marriage was to an abusive person when you were 8 years old, and that all happened at the, they're listing for her the reasons. She said, "No, I just like to drink." That's honest. She needed to stop drinking. That's why she was there. But the reason she did was she liked to drink alcohol. We don't necessarily need to psychoanalyze ourselves. Sometimes that helps. Getting to the why, getting to how to get through the day. What are the tricks, the tips? It's good to know that somebody else is going through the same thing I'm going through. Sometimes you feel like that's all great. But ultimately, if you keep going back to eating chips and fries and pizza crust and ding dongs, it's probably because you like eating those things. I would like eating those things. If someone flipped a switch and I could eat those things and remain healthy and fit and at this size, and the size is not the most important thing, but I am not someone who was comfortable being larger. I didn't like it. If I could flip a switch and do all those things, I would be at the store right now buying those things, but I can't. So I don't. That is my truth. You define your truth. Follow it. I am now going to turn my attention to the lovely people who have taken the time to comment. Oh, thank you, thank you, thank you. Donna D writes, "Ready and waiting. Your channel keeps me on track." Thank you, thank you. And hello from Wisconsin, writes Laura Decker. "Unsubscribe from all those other keto gurus spouting shakes and confusing message. I feel much better." There is a lot of information out there. Some of it, great. Some of it, not so much. Some of it really geared towards commerce. I understand. I have no trouble with people making a living. If nobody sells, nobody works. But not when it comes to health. Not when it comes to health. Not when it comes to health. You don't need to purchase one product, one device, one supplement to be 100% successful at this protocol. I have a glucometer that reads ketones as well. I started off with the Precision Extra. The strips were very expensive. I did that for like 2 or 3 years. For those of you who don't know, I started January 8th, 2014. So I've been doing this for 6.5 years. Yikes. And this is still only 1/5 as long as I was morbidly obese. So imagine. Anywho, the Keto Mojo, in my opinion, is a superior device itself. It's a little bit easier to use, has some improvements, and the strips are more affordable. But I do that out of curiosity. Urine strips are fine, but you don't need any of that. I have a glucometer that reads ketones. I take Mag 64, slow release magnesium. It's magnesium chloride, 3 a day, because I've always had muscle cramps, and they just were exacerbated with keto because that's quite normal. That's it. I don't take shakes. By the way, have you noticed the Dishy, Rob Lowe, is a spokesperson for Atkins, which seems ironic when the person who's never had more than 1% body fat over what he should do, and he's totally good looking, he's going to really explain to me about how to lose weight and stay healthy. Maybe he's had struggles, but not that I can tell. I mean, he's hidden it well. Anywho, the Atkins bars now and the Atkins shakes, they don't even try to give them up as anything that's going to help you. They're candy bars. I think the line was, if there is a world where I can't drink a delicious chocolate shake. I don't want to be in that world. That's not about health. That's about indulging what you want to eat. Again, Elizabeth Taylor. I like to drink. If you like to do all those things, great. But be honest with yourself. It's not because you really think it's going to make you healthy. It's because you like it. Drink. I get asked this every single time. So I'm going to say it. And if you ask me in the comments below the video, what is it you're drinking? I'm going to know that you didn't listen to the entire video, which is also okay. Tall glass filled with ice, almost filled with diet tonic water, a super light splash of diet cranberry juice, and a squeeze of lime. It's tart. It's refreshing. It's crisp. It helps keep my whistle wet when I'm talking a lot, which I have already done today, and I'm going to continue. I'm starting to lose my voice. Now, back to Mona Tufan from Istanbul. How are you doing? You see Mona's in green with an avocado after her name. She's a member of the Go Keto with Casey Club on YouTube, and I appreciate that. Marie Molly writes, hi from North Carolina. What part of North Carolina, Marie? Jennifer, can you, oh, Casey, you have a big bruise. Ouch. Yeah, I was explaining that. That was from, I was hit, and that's okay. I didn't even, it doesn't hurt. I mean, I can kind of feel it, but that's okay. Adele Nuana, hey, Casey, first catching you live. I'm in South Africa. Fantastic. I know some, peripherally, I know some folks from South Africa. Good morning, everyone, writes Jenna. Welcome from the U.S., California. Jennifer, BLT's bites, licks, and tastes. Bite, licks, and taste. Thank you. It took me a second. BLTs. I love that. Bites, licks, and taste. They do add up. Portion sizes add up. I mean, I've had to kind of call myself on this. My weight has not fluctuated greatly in 3 years. It is, there is fluctuation. If you're not comfortable with weight fluctuations, don't get on the scale because they're going to fluctuate. A little bit, is normal. The woman who I quoted earlier, 40 pounds, that's not a fluctuation. That's a weight gain, but she's gotten in front of it. I eat much less fuel than I did even when I started the ketogenic protocol, even from the first month or 6 months or whatever I did on the protocol. I didn't log my food, so I don't know. Things I would have done differently if I'd known what was going to happen. Keep in mind, all I wanted was to not take insulin for type 2 diabetes. So I wasn't looking to lose weight or do anything else. I certainly wasn't looking to do this for a living. I had a very lucrative career previously. Anywho, I don't know how much I ate, but it was a lot. I just laid off the carbs. That's it. I just laid off the carbs. What's the protocol? Keep your carbs 20 grams or fewer a day, total not net. If it's on page 4, don't eat it. Don't eat if you're not hungry. Stop when you're satiated. Guess what's not mentioned? Grams of protein, grams of fat, the M word, percentages of anything. Do what you like to do. If you like to add extra math to your life, have at it. Time of day, not mentioned. Time restricted eating, not mentioned. Following an app so it can tell you how much to eat, not mentioned. Keep your carbs 20 grams or fewer a day. That's it. If you actually do that and don't eat if you're not hungry, if you do the first thing, the third thing will take care of itself. Don't eat out of habit. Don't eat out of habit. And I had to train myself. Am I here out of habit or out of hunger? And it was almost always habit. So we have to introduce new habits. I had a train of thought there. Oh, so I am eating fewer calories than I did in the beginning or the middle. And I'm 62 years old, so I require less fuel. And I'm a runt. I'm 5'1". I'm puny. So I require not much fuel, nor should I. 1 tablespoon of mayonnaise. Now, this is not a heaping tablespoon. It's like 14 grams by weight of mayonnaise. 14 grams is 100 calories. maybe 110, but call it 100. That's not much. If I'm consuming 900 calories a day or 1,000, let's call it 1,000, and I have a tablespoon of mayonnaise, and that's 100 calories. Do I want 10% of my calories to come from mayonnaise? It adds up. We don't count calories on the protocol because if you follow the protocol, your appetite is suppressed, your hunger is suppressed, you consume less fuel, thereby consuming fewer calories. So it takes care of itself. But while we don't count calories, calories count. Terry Trombley writes, good advice today. I am my own worst enemy. Many of us are. You're in good company there. Cat Cookie writes, I joined Weight Watchers. I did lose weight at first, but they changed their program so much every few years or so. I went back a few years ago and gained 30 pounds on their new plan. Yeah, because they're telling people what people want to hear. Eat all the food you love. That's the first thing you hear. Eat all the food you love. Just count the points. My daughter was successful in Weight Watchers. She shared with me a couple of years ago when she had turned to keto. She says, yeah, I lost weight. I was hungry all the time. Kathy Helinsky writes, love your chats. Thank you. I'm struggling right now, but I keep listening to you, trying to get my keto game on. Here's what you do, Kathy, my suggestion. And others of you can share because many of you have been successful. Many of you are patrons and we see each other or hear from each other regularly. It's one decision at a time. Don't think about what you need to do for the rest of your life. Don't think what you need to do for the rest of the summer. Don't think what you need to do for just right now. Right now. Every time you're about to make a decision about what you put in your mouth, just ask yourself, how am I going to feel about this in 5 minutes? Right? The satisfaction of eating something sweet or whatever your particular thing is lasts for 10 seconds or 8 inches, however you want to look at it, from the time you swallow it until it goes down your esophagus. And that's it. If you're like me, that's a very brief time and a very brief travel. And then the pleasure's gone, replaced by guilt. Guilt is not a helpful state of mind. It's moment by moment, decision by decision, mouthful by mouthful. Stop eating when you're satiated. Slow up when you're eating. It takes time for the leptin hormone, the satiety hormone, to get to our brain. If it takes 16 minutes for that satiety signal to get to the brain, but we have inhaled our food in 8 minutes, oh well, you've now overeaten. It's just, it's the curse and the blessing of our modern Western culture. There is bounty for most of us. People are struggling right now. This is not a reason to be eating ding-dongs or cheese doodles or French fries. If we're struggling and the best you can do is to get a package of beef franks and a head of cabbage, that works. If the most you can afford is ground beef on sale, that works. All the other stuff is not going to help. Stay keto. Stay healthy. You can't really tell it very well, but these are like superhero chicks with their capes on. Stay keto. Stay healthy. Donna D writes, congrats, Mary. Oh, sorry, things jumped around. Oh, Grand Sobe writes, I've been at goal for almost 8 months after losing 65 pounds. Thank you for your messages. Congratulations. Hey, Gray's Custom Trim. I love it when you show up. I wish people would remember it's total carbs, not net. Those bars, shakes, any keto treats are full of carbs. Avoid them all if you can. Just eat real food. Gray's Custom Trim knows of what he speaks. And if you are comfortable sharing it, Gray's Custom Trim, please share your success. Hey, Hector. I loved your response to my question. Hector 6766. Associations also need to be broken. Movies do not need popcorn. Drinking martinis doesn't mean sophistication. Now I'm going to have to go. You're going to talk about my martinis, Hector. Then we're going to. I occasionally like a good martini, and I do feel quite sophisticated when I'm drinking it. This leads us to the idea of alcohol. Alcohol does not turn into sugar. Alcohol, the fermentation process of making either wine or spirits, actually eats the sugar. Beer to a less degree, but it eats the sugar. But what happens is if you're consuming alcohol, your liver kind of has to stop all of its other duties in order to process the alcohol as if it were a toxin. Because guess what? Alcohol is a toxin. So if you want to think about it, hitting the pause button on fat burning. But I do like a good martini. 2 at the very most. 3, I'm under the table, and 4, I'm under the host. That is a quote from Dorothy Parker. Laura Decker writes, I watched an older live chat and you said a lot of things that resonated with me. Started eating slower, got rid of all the hubbub, and my mind is less stressed. Page 4. It really is the simplest solutions are the best ones. You know, you can buy all the electrolyte powders and drinks and special things you want. Those are products that people love to sell. And for people, they feel better with them. But really, electrolytes mean minerals that are electrically charged. So generally, if you get your sodium in the proper level, because when we're following the ketogenic diet, our kidneys process a lot of water. With the water goes sodium. Sodium is the queen of the electrolytes. There is a juvenile male cardinal on my bird feeder right out there. How do I know it's a juvenile male cardinal? Because we have a lot of cardinals. Anywho, sodium goes, can bring along with the other electrically, I don't know whether it's called charged, mineral, potassium, calcium. Magnesium is the one that maybe gets us and makes us feel a little lethargic if we have magnesium deficiency. We can also have leg cramps, but you can just, Jen from Minnesota just pops some pinch of salt under her tongue and drink some water. Kathy Helinski writes, thanks for your kind words. Let's use kind words with each other. Laura Decker writes, great scientific info, and that's all I'm following from now on. Age 54, and I'm happy to see people my age group can do absolutely. People in their 60s, 70s, 80s. And my favorite story about Marie, who cut out sugar and starch when she was 90. 90. Okay, Gray's Custom Trim. Here's the headline. Down 271.8 pounds in 14 months. It sounds unbelievable, but I trust Gray's Custom Trim. He's been a regular on these live streams. It's just the people with whom I speak who have been the most successful simply stuck to the protocol and didn't play. No fake baked goods, no staring at YouTube screens looking for cooking videos or other alternatives. I think sometimes we want to hear another thing. Is there somebody who's going to tell me something I really want to hear? Yeah, there are a lot of people who do that. I hope that my message is something you want to hear, in that you can get healthy, happy, be the person you used to be or somebody you always wanted to be, and lose weight. To me, that's a message I would want to hear. I am not going to tell you that carb up days or cheat days or fake baked goods that got us fat in the first place, or eating unlimited amounts of sour cream and cheese. Or no, we are adults. Most of us are not anarchists. There are constraints on almost everything we do in life. And for me, one of them is I have to lay off the carbs. Oh, well. Sue B writes, 59 years old here. We can do this. I'm 62. I started this when I was 55 and had given up. What did Heather write? Heather, hey, Heather, feeling irritated. I would never tell someone I thought they were too fat. Yesterday, a friend told me she thought I was too skinny. What? Didn't know I needed to live up to her expectations. Heather, here's my knee-jerk response to that is, your friend now feels fat in front of you. That's what that is. Maybe your friend preferred you when you were heavier, made her feel better about herself. That happens. Because if you got fitter and thinner and healthier, that means there is a way to do it. But that friend would have to then give up the chips and the fries and the beer. Mary T writes, the best question you can ask yourself is, am I hungry? It's a really hard one. And the best thing you can do for yourself is really listen to the answer. Excellent, Mary. I don't take it as rudeness. I take it as their insecurity. Relationships change sometimes when we change. We change, and some of the other people, we no longer fulfill a role for them, or they no longer fulfill a role for us. As has been said, people come into our lives for a reason and a season. I wouldn't take it personally. I wouldn't be offended. And, I've had comments in front of me about me, oh, Casey, she doesn't eat food anymore. Well, that's patently ridiculous. And I didn't take offense. I just don't think what I consume or don't consume is an interesting topic of conversation. Alcohol is a toxin. Good reminder. Everyone is on their own journey. So some give it up before keto and some just cut, as you say, you do you, writes to fix MJ. As a reminder, here is the thing. I want to leave you with these thoughts. Keep your carbs 20 grams or fewer a day, total not net. If it's not on page 4, link below, don't eat it. Don't eat if you're not hungry. Stop when you're satiated. Be kind to yourself. Be firm with yourself. Be honest with yourself. And stay keto, stay healthy. Never been a better time to get your blood glucose, your blood pressure, all that other stuff under control. Never been a better time. Thanks a lot. Thanks for allowing me to be part of your day. Check out patreon.com if you want to be part of a great support group. And take care of yourselves. Be safe. Wear a mask. Wash your hands. Common sense. Thanks.